So if you're looking for tips and you're looking for secrets of how to get into a photography business, you are in the right place. Stay tuned. On the last tip, I will tell you all about pricing. Everything. I'm just kidding. I can't do everything. Man, that would be a 50, anyway, whatever. Having these 5 tips for photography, or secrets you might say, is the right thing for you. So is this a hobby or a business? This is important to really think about getting into a business, because I remember when I first got in photography, it was a hobby and I thought, you know what, maybe I'll charge someone 50 bucks and I'll be a business. And it wasn't really like that. The reason being is because when you're doing photography as a hobby, 90% of what you're doing is photography. Okay, in business, 90% of what you're doing is a business. 10% of it is photography. Sometimes you'll have lucky days where 90% of what you're doing that day is photography. That's great, but usually opening a business, a successful one, an established one, it's 90% business and 10% photography. So is it specialized or generalized is the next question you want to ask yourself. For myself, I was generalized. I really enjoyed families, infants, as much as I enjoyed doing macro, landscape, realty, videography, drones, all that kind of stuff. I enjoyed it all as equal as much. Some people are specialized, like they want to do dogs, so they'll have a thorough understanding of Chihuahuas and Labradors, and I don't know many dogs after that. So the black and white ones, my name is Blue, so they probably have some blue ones out there or something, you know. Oh, the blue nose bulldog. God, I hope I got that right. Anyway, for all you dog passionate people, so sorry. And so another important thing is the photography business plan and projections. If you don't have that, then you're not off to a very good start. But knowing those words and looking into what those words mean as per business, it will help you a lot to actually look forward to your first step. Now, choosing a market. Number 2 was choosing a market. There's 2 types of business models for photography and videography that I feel are really prevalent in business photography today. And so the first one is a high volume, high turnaround, lower prices. So that's like a portrait studio at Walmart. High turnaround, you can make an appointment today, very low prices. Versus high end, and you have a low turnaround, but you get higher paying customers, higher paying clients. Now, this will definitely dwindle down who your market is. The next question after that is, who is the demand? So if you're asking to have that type of business, you've now dwindled down what you want to be as a business. Now it's time to ask, is there actually people looking for what you're trying to offer? Many photographers have a preference, myself included, that sometimes doesn't meet the demand in our area. For myself, I think I wanted to do like some car photography, only recently has it been a really huge thing, but before that it wasn't, and it was one of my preferences, and it wasn't a part of my business at the time. So for a stronger example, Los Angeles is amazing for movies, videography, but not very much for infant portraiture. Usually it's young singles running around and doing a lot of fun stuff. So basics of business, what are your skills? This is important to have some humility for yourself to save you a lot of time down the road. What are your skills and what are your talents in terms of business? Not so much in terms of photography or videography. Now, if you had a couple of jobs, I got to know at an early age what type of person I am. I'm not crazy with numbers. I understand them standardly, but not deep down. I'm more of I love people. I love comms. I love communication. I love selling things. I don't like selling things I just love selling things, okay? And so I feel like, okay, I love selling things. Don't doubt me. Get out of here. I just told you that I like to sell things. Okay. Anyway, I love law too. I love legal, I don't know what it is. I love the details and all of the legal papers, and I enjoy making them as well and looking into other people's legal papers and seeing, oh, I see a loophole, you know, that kind of stuff. So anyway, but I'm bad with numbers. The point is that the places that I'm not good at, I hire someone. The places that you're not good at, you hire someone. If you're only good as a photographer and you're not very good at business, maybe it's time to get into a business that is hiring photographers. And basically you are being a photographer and they're doing everything else, right? So they're good at the numbers, they're good at the sales, they're good at the, you know, etc. Now, yeah, pay for someone where you fall short. More examples: social media, accounting, legal. And I'd like to mention that it's important to know these keywords for businesses: the business plan, the overhead costs, licensing, budgeting, competition, insurance, etc. But I'd like to go on to the next one. A more sexier tip or secret, I might say, is your brand. At best, your brand creates a connection between you or your business to who you're selling to, which is your client or your customer, right? This is unbelievably important. So when you think about McDonald's, you either think about the M or you think about Donald. So I think where the majority of McDonald's customers come in is because their kids actually ask for McDonald's. So they think of Donald, they're advertising to those kids, and that's what the first thing they think of. But when we become adults, we think of the M, but it's usually kids that I don't see any McDonald's commercials, you know, all grown up and stuff in my, what do I call this, a suit? In my suit. I just remember those McDonald's commercials when I was very young and in my car seat still and stuff like that. And cereal boxes, for a more defined example, like a tiger or the honeybee, they have some pretty good mascots that anyone could think of, like the Honey Nut Cheerios. Love Honey Nut Cheerios. I don't know what it is. They're so basic but so good. Anyway, at best, creates a connection with your client or your customer. Now, the branding mistakes that I've found is a lot of business owners like to put their brand first and business second. If you're putting your brand first and your business second, then you're not getting as much money as you should be. I feel like it's riding a bike, and your brand actually changes as you go through with your business and you learn more about the business, especially in the first year or two. Now, putting your brand first is a mistake, definitely. So business first, brand second, okay? So you make some money and you get to know your customers and clients a little bit more, and your niche and your market. And so you can start critiquing your brand to who those people are so that they can better gravitate or better discover you. Now, another big mistake I find is waiting until your brand is perfect. This is a big mistake because no one will start to get to know your brand to begin with if you're still waiting to make it perfect. Now, I say, slap it on. Now, if you're good at photography and you're good at videography, and say you have some sort of marketing technique, maybe even not a marketing technique. How can I say this? Say you have a Porsche, okay? Or the Porsche just started out and the Porsche has no brand on it, has no logo, anything like that, okay? It's an amazing vehicle, beautiful at that, elegant, I might say. I don't care what brand is on it. I don't care what it says, what the logo looks like. I love the product. I love the quality of it. I love the speed of it. I love everything about it. Who cares what the brand looked like? You know what? I like it. I do. I like the. Honestly, I don't know why I think I use a Porsche just because everyone knows what the Porsche is. I think I'd probably like a SUV, like a Tahoe. That'd be nice. Love an SUV or a Cadillac maybe. Land Rover. Okay, anyway. So, yeah. Slap it on. If you're a great photographer, videographer, slap it on. Critique it as you go along. So that when you have more customers and clients, you just make it exactly what it should be after some time and be well informed along the way. Another one, let's see, what do I have here? I'm getting impatient. So copying competition, you're just putting more value on the competition and less value on yourself, and you're establishing them more as a business. And not so much yourself. I mean, it's a trend. It's riding trends, right? And if you're riding a trend, then you're going to be out very soon. And the only original person who stays out, who finishes the race, is the one who had the original. The one riding trends, or they're just gonna be known as the person who copied these people and didn't really have much to add to the world as per something unique or a problem-solving service. Anyway, okay, I digress, clearly. Naming the business is important as well. You need to consider yourself having the business 10, 15, 20, 50 years from now. What happens? Now, say life is unpredictable. Say we have a mistake and someone gets into an accident, such as yourself, the business owner, and you can no longer own the business, but the clientele is still demanding your business. Okay, so now it's time to really start thinking about your options. One of these options might be selling your business. And if you want to sell out, that's fine. Or even if you don't have any excuse that you want to sell it, or you realize it's not your passion anymore, and maybe you just want to do photography on your own and don't have to deal with clientele or customers, that type of thing. So if you want to sell out, what happens when it's named Michael's Business? Or Michael's Business. Michael's Photography. You have an issue there. Unless another Michael comes along, and I don't think there will be, another Michael comes along and says, I want to buy your business. Unless that happens, then you're not going to have very much luck selling it down the road. It's not only that, there's another thing to consider. What about your employees? What happens if you need employees? What happens if you want to bring more people onto your business? It's going to be significantly difficult on each shoot to have your customer and client trust the employee that you've hired to do the job that they expect your style to do. And also make sure that it's closely related to whatever you're selling. So whether it be generalized or specialized. And also one more tip is wait to hire a graphic designer until the first year, because a lot changes in the first year. You'll be better informed. You'll understand a lot more about what you kind of want to look like on the outside, so that when they come in, it looks all the same. Number 5, tip number 5, or shall I say secret number 5, is pricing. Pricing is so unbelievably important, and everyone already knows it, but there are a couple of secrets and a couple of tips within this one that you should really stay tuned for. It's so important. First things first, do not look at pricing from an emotional standpoint. Don't. What you think you're worth, what you clients can afford, or what you can afford. Do not look at it from this perspective. There's a lot of bad things that can happen when you start to look. You're running a business, right? So business is for profit. And if you're running a business for profit, then you need to profit. If you're looking at an emotional point of view, you're selling yourself short. And I've never seen the alternative where you're selling the customer or client short when you're looking at it from an emotional point of view. I don't see those examples at all. Anyway, I'd love to see one, honestly. Okay, so now the first thing that you want to do when you're making a pricing decision is that make a list of the package associated costs. So this could be flash drives, this could be flash drives and prints, or canvases as well, bags with the papering inside the bags, types of packaging, albums. How much does all of that cost and to put it together? Another thing that you need to consider is how much time did it take into packaging? And when I say packaging, I mean when it comes to packaging whatever it is you're packaging, the time it took to make sure that it can become its final product, such as time. So, for example, this is average. 2.5 hours for a client meeting and communications. Usually that's questions or concerns on types of location, types of backgrounds, if you have a studio, or what is it, on location, what kind of, what kind of shoots, what kind of variables are involved. 2.5 hours of client meeting and communications. So, and also 1 hour of gear prep. If you want to be consistent with every single shoot, you're going to want ample time to prep your gear. 2 hours for the shoot itself. 1.5 hours to drive to and from the session. Hopefully that would be ideal, but a lot of times, especially in Canada region, it takes a bit more. And so 1 hour to download and back up the files, 2 hours to color correct and edit with, or also KoOl, and that takes a lot less time if you have a graphics pad. I recommend getting one of those and getting very familiar with it, especially if you're opening a business. A decent graphics pad, with a touchpad on it. Or all of them have a touchpad, I mean a touch ring. Oh God, I love it too. Almost half the time, really. 2 hours for retouches, and that's for like the small shoots, if they request that type of thing. 1 hour to prepare the prints and proofs, if you do prints and proofs. So that's potentially already, we're sitting at about 13 hours. And this isn't to mention the prep for previewing for the customer and client. This is also 1.5 hours. 1.5 hours could go to designing the album itself if it's for a wedding of some sort. Reviewing prints from the lab as well if you're doing some prints. And there's also packaging that you have to take into account that takes more time as well. Now, you'll hear this a lot in business, everywhere. It doesn't matter what business you're going into, it's COGS, C-O-G-S, cost of goods sold. And these are the physicals. So everything that's involved, I'm about to give you an equation here. So everything that's involved, C-O-G-S, all in capitals, it's all the physicals, cost of goods sold. Okay, so there's that. You have to find out your total of that. You have to find out your full time required by yourself or whoever's working, which is about 14 hours averagely. And say you want $20 an hour, so you do 14 hours times 20. This plus, also you want to, in addition to this, if you're going to be an established business, you're going to want to put your taxes on top, as well as your insurance and overhead cost with other expenses. And when you have all of these put together, what you're going to want to do with your overhead and other expenses, you're going to divide it into the amount of planned packages you have planned to sell. And so this is the biggest issue. This is the secret right here. This is the big tip, is that a lot of people don't don't look at their overhead. They don't look at their other expenses, or they do, and they're like, we'll figure it out, and they get bankrupt. And it's just a big mistake. So what you want to do with your overhead and your other expenses, say you pay for your website, you pay for a marketing SEO team, or you pay for, marketing strategies, you pay for a studio or rental equipment, etc. Lens cleanings, sensor cleanings, all these types of things that seem to be recurring, all of that stuff. Those are overhead costs and other expenses. There's a lot more, of course. And those have to be divided up into, say you're planning to have 20 weddings, and those 20 weddings so you have to divide the overhead costs and the other expenses up into those 20 weddings, also considering the time of 14 hours, which say we put $20 with the taxes and insurance, you put that all together, divide it up. And so for the portraits, that included, usually portraits, if it's high volume, then you do 100 portraits and divide it up into 100, or if you plan to do 100. And so events, you could do like 50 and then divide it up to 50. I think you catch my drift here. So thank you very much for joining me on today's video. It's been an absolute pleasure to see you. Thank you very much for being here. If you have any more questions or concerns, actually, you know what? I have a final tip. And this is a tip that the governments don't seem to want to tell you, nor businesses, and accounting people included. If you want to establish your business, if you're under a $30,000 threshold of income being given to you within the year, they say it in quarterlies, right? So if you don't make $30,000 in the first, second, third, or fourth quarter as a collective, then you don't have to claim that you have a business running. So it'll save you a lot of taxes. And say the year changes and you've had a lot of expenses in, say, the year 2019, and then in year 2020, you're finally starting to see some income flow that potentially will go up to about $30,000, and you can foresee that in projections, and you say, okay, well, now I can see that. I suspect that I'm going to have to pay some taxes in the year 2020, and then you start to file them. But you can also go ahead and get the expenses from the previous year, or say the previous couple of years if you're in that situation, against the income that you've made, so that instead of paying taxes, you can get a return of taxes. That's something I found out here in British Columbia, if you're ever curious about that. And I'm pretty sure that you can go ahead and reclaim that up to 7 years ago if you hadn't done that and you're looking for a little extra. I mean, in business, you're always looking for a little extra green. Why the hell not? It's more investment into capital and all of that stuff. So, been an absolute pleasure. Thank you. It's good to see you, and I'll see you. Actually, you know what? I should have an outro like Peter McKinnon does, or Frono's. Oh man, they have all this cool stuff. I wonder what I should do. You know what? I'll see you in the next one. Alright, that was good, I guess. Yeah, good thing. Wow, this fire is really hot. Man. Oh, I love it. Love this fire. In the next one. I drink water every time. I guess that could work, but maybe 50 years from now when we don't have water anymore and this is like $50,000 in this cup, he's like, oh my God, he's like all mind blown. He did it again. He's drinking $50,000 water just for a video. My girlfriend hates it. She says, and like my eyes will literally start hurting inside, and I'll start wearing a pair of glasses, and she'll think that I'm wearing the glasses just cause, even though I've explained to her a million times. She's like, it's only sunny in Doucheville, isn't it? I'm like, oh my God.